Shout out to the Cows Gang. I'm your host, Mr. Palmer, and welcome to the show, Victim or Volunteer. What I want y'all to do, grab the nearest couch, sit back, and enjoy the ride.
Cows Gang, I gotta talk about this story right here, man. Let me sit on the couch right quick and give me a little woosah. Because what I'm gonna talk to you about, it really blew my mind. You have a woman, 62 years old, by name of Stephanie Dowells. And they say she was a good woman, thought she could save the world, loving, caring, God-fearing, everything else under the sun. And I ain't gonna lie, a couple of these pictures on here like she's a little freaky, you know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that, live your life, right? She was murdered. She was murdered by her husband. Now, that's not the tripped out part. The tripped out part is she was murdered by a convict.
To get the new blood for a lousy nigga convict.
Not only a convict, but a man who got life in prison plus 20 years for killing 4 people. And she was killed during a conjugal visit in prison.
What?
You can't make this up. So I'm like, before I start looking at all the info and the details, I'm like, oh, well, maybe she was with him, for 34 years. And he did what he did. He locked up and she been loyal. Nah, she met the on the internet.
Oh, hell no.
You can't make this up. What the wrong with you, mother? Now, this happened in California. A California prison, North California. And David Brinson is accused of killing his wife, Stephanie Dowells, at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione. Is it Ione or I-1? I don't know, but it's 40 miles northeast of Stockton in Northern California. Now, David Brinson is 54 years old, serving 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole for killing 4 men during a robbery in the Los Angeles apartment back in 1990. The Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation did not respond. I bet they didn't. But they only released a statement saying that on November the 13th, David Brinson phoned corrections officer. He called the correction officer around 2 a.m. and reported that his wife had passed out during her visitation. So the officers attempted to resuscitate her, but she was pronounced dead at 2:51 a.m., and that's what the department said. So the investigation into Stephanie Brinson's death, and believe it or not, he has not been charged yet. Now, when it comes to family visits, is a privilege, and an incarcerated person must apply and meet strict eligibility criteria before being approved. It's for people who have sustained good behavior and meet a specific program requirement are considered. You know what I'm saying? They're designed to support positive family connections and successful rehabilitation. Man, that sounds real good, don't it? That sounds real good. Now, I'm gonna let the news speak its piece. They're gonna talk to the family members, and I want you to hear their thoughts.
We spoke with the victim's family, and they're demanding answers. They want to know why an inmate with such a violent history like this was allowed to have unsupervised visits in the first place.
The most giving, like-minded person.
62-year-old Stephanie Dowells was always trying to help others, her mother, Ovita Wilson, says.
I would often tell my sweetheart, you can't save the world.
Dowells was a mother herself to 2 sons, grandmother to 6. She was a hairstylist and a small business owner in the Los Angeles area, known to her family as Stevie. We spoke to them on Zoom.
Stevie was literally the glue that held the family together.
making her loss all the more difficult.
We were just devastated.
Dowells died during an overnight visit with an inmate at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione just before 3 a.m. last November. Now, 4 months later, the Amador County coroner confirmed her family's fears, finding the death was a homicide. The coroner says she was strangled.
How could they just, let this happen and just don't get it?
Armand Torres says the prison should be held accountable. He says his mom was visiting her husband, David Brinson, there.
They would read the Bible together. He was in school in there because she was pushing him to try to be this better person.
But Brinson is serving 4 consecutive life terms with a 20-year determinate sentence on top of that, without the possibility of parole, all after his 1993 conviction of 4 murders.
My mom was just left alone, and she, called for help, I'm sure. And there's nothing she could do.
Officials say the criminal investigation is still underway. So as of now, no one's been charged with Dowells' murder. But it happened during a family visit, which the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation website describes as a visit in private apartment-like facilities on prison grounds that can last approximately 30 to 40 hours. It was just after 2 a.m. on November 13th when CDCR says Brinson used the phone in that apartment-like facility to tell officers his wife had passed out.
Given the history that this guy has already, we kind of just, wanted to know how is it even, possible for them to be unsupervised.
The CDCR website shows inmates blocked from those privileges are limited to those on death row, those convicted of sex offenses, those going through the reception process upon arrival to a prison, or anyone under disciplinary restrictions. There's no mention of multiple murder convictions.
Do you think that policy should change moving forward?
It has to. There has to be something has to be done, because it's not fair.
CDCR says inmates have to meet strict criteria for these family visits, like sustained good behavior, for example. And they say the visits are meant to support family connection and rehabilitation. And Dowells' family did say that she had visited Brinson several times before this, and those visits seem to have gone well. So they say at the time they didn't really think much of it, like they now believe they probably should have. Back to you.
And our investigative team also looked into what, if any, security measures are in place during those prison visits. The CDCR operations manual shows that inmates have to present themselves for account at least 4 times within a 24-hour period, and the watch commander can also order unscheduled inspections. But otherwise, the manual explains every effort is made to ensure the inmate's privacy.
You heard what they said, they saying that the prison should be investigated for not doing their jobs, not protecting their loved one, basically putting it on them as their fault. But no disrespect to the family, but I gotta ask this question. Why not try to investigate why was your mother, who's out here in the world free, that could be with any man out here in the world that's not a convict, decide to marry somebody from the internet that's a convict already locked up for 4 consecutive life sentences? Well. I mean, I gotta know. This is definitely an unfortunate situation, and I'm actually just finding out that it was another woman who was murdered before then in the same prison. She was 47 years old. She was killed by her husband. This is crazy. So I go on Facebook to Alex L. Art, and he posted this March 22nd. He said, Black women, then in parentheses, he got some, never really grow out of their bad boy phase. Pookie and Ray Ray is their imprint for life. That's all they know, because most likely their dad was a Pookie. Quotations, thank you, mama. That toxic upbringing breeds trauma for children growing up in that environment. And trauma attracts trauma is endless matriarchal cycle of males not knowing how to be men and females not knowing how to choose a man. That is very interesting. That's what he posts. And He also put in the comments section, he posted this in the comments also. You have victims and then you have volunteers. Sound like my show, don't it? As the saying goes, water seeks its own level. Black woman marries an ex-con and instantly regrets it. So evidently, I ain't gonna click on it, but evidently, you know, she must have got killed behind this one. But you know, this is crazy. I'm surprised because I'm like, you out there freeing the world and you want to marry one of these convicts, but hey, who am I to judge? This is what I got Couch Gang for. You know, there are people who do meet on the internet. There are people who do have a relationship with people who's locked up and incarcerated. It is what it is. You know, marry them. I never seen them before face to face. You know, now when I go over to the comments, and I look at the comments, it says, somebody said, well, actually, he the same person that's posting. Now, as I scroll down, this dude say they love the thugs. This other person said it's sad, but she knew what he was and stupidly thought it would end well for her. When you mess with a poisonous snake, expect to get bitten. The clumps, GIF, the upper room. That's crazy. This one says she never grew up. Petra Pan. This one says, oh well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This one says, I wouldn't say that. You can look around and see what a person's options are if they're going to remain living where they are. Most African Americans have children out of wedlock and long before the man or woman are financially stable. Most of the time, neither owns their own home, and even if one does, most of the time they don't live together, and the children are usually raised by the woman in the projects and subsidized housing, Section 8, or the mother makes her money illegally. I ain't gonna read the rest of it, but basically saying, doing ass backwards. The other person says they are whom they attract. You know, and I ain't gonna read everything, but it says a lot. What do y'all think about that, Couch Gang? You know, do you think people are just, you know, just, I'm trying to see what's the word. Like they are magnetically inclined to get with motherfuckers like this. What do y'all think about it? I'm just shocked. She's 62 years old dealing with a convict. But to let y'all know, the family posted a GoFundMe for her. She's looking to get $50,000 to aid her family. So far, they raised $16,397. Now, I'm sure by the time you see the video, it's probably going to be more. This is, I will say, is an unfortunate situation. And it's a question that a lot of us probably have in our mind, like, why would somebody beautiful, this 62-year-old woman, want to be married to this convict and go out and have conjugal visits with this convict? But then again, we see a lot of women like these types, young, old, different races, doesn't matter, you know. So, Couch Gang, if y'all want to donate, just go to the GoFundMe. But when it comes to 62-year-old Stevie Brinson, I got to know, is she a victim or volunteer?
Y'all tell me what y'all think. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm Mr. Palmer, and this conversation is over. Couch Gang, Couch Gang.